Welcome everyone to the second video in our short tutorials during this crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic. But not to focus too much on the negatives, today we are going to be drawing something to make light of the situation in a way. That always helps me, it has forever. So in today's episode, we're going to draw the coronavirus. For me, when the COVID-19 pandemic came full force on, I decided to look up, well, what does this virus even look like? So, to the best of my ability, the only thing I found online was something like this. Now, as you can see, that doesn't look like much, but those little specks are, of course, the virus and in all its glory. So, in today's episode, what I thought we would do is make light of the COVID-19 virus in a way, taking it serious though, but draw it in a cartoon version. So, please join me as we jump ahead now a little bit into the studio and get our materials together. I'll show you exactly what you need for this short tutorial, and let's get started. Working as a cartoonist, I get to do stuff like this every day. It's really fun and awesome. So today you get to work with me and become a cartoonist too. Be sure and share your creations. We'd love to see it. So there's a email address that's inside the description. So be sure up there, maybe you need to read that. Where to send your image, and be sure and share, and we'll post it on all of the newspapers' websites. So if you're watching this in Mingo County or Floyd or Perry County, Johnson, Paintsville, wherever you are, we would love to share your work here on the post. So be sure and consider sending it to us. Let's get started now drawing a cartoon version of the COVID-19 coronavirus. That wasn't very foreboding, but yeah, let's draw. All right, so we're going to get started now on our COVID coronavirus cartoon. I want to show you a little something before we start. So the parts of a virus, now you're going to see that if you ever look up an image of the coronavirus, you don't have to draw this, just watch. You're going to see that it looks like a ball, and then protruding from it are all these little spikes. Kind of looks like this. All right, and it's all over it, all over it. So if you see an image of the virus, this is kind of what it looks like. Of course, the spikes are all over, so sticking out in all directions. Now, basically, there's two components. There's a nucleic and a genome, which is a nucleic acid, and a genome, which makes up it, and a protein capsid, and that's what you see that covers the genome. And when you combine those two, it's a nucleocapsid. Capsid. That's it, nucleocapsid. I'm trying to read this, by the way. I'm not really as smart. In addition, animal viruses contain the same thing. So the entire intact virus, though, is called the virion. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If anybody else can correct me, I'd appreciate it. So, but yeah, that's what we're drawing. We're drawing the protein capsid, basically, that covers the genome. That's the body. So now I'm going to take my paper and just flip it over. Now, I didn't mention paper when I was going through the materials, but hopefully you knew that we're going to have to use paper. But if you don't have watercolor paper at home, that's okay. This is not even watercolor paper here. So let's get started now. I want you at home to take your pencils, and I want you to draw this giant circle shape, just like that, okay? Just don't have to be perfect. Just sketch it out. Lightly press down. Then at the top, I want you to draw, we're going to give our little COVID a head. So we've got two of them. So it kind of looks like a snowman without the last ball of snow at the bottom, right? So you only have these two. Now, why I do this is you need a frame to go by. This will help frame it up for us. We're going to know exactly what we need to draw. So we're going to start up here, right here, draw another circle, right about there. Pressing down a little harder now. And then over from it, I'm going to draw another circle. This one a little bigger than the first one. But look at this. You can't see this part of it. It's behind the first one. Then over here again, you're going to make a line kind of curved going across, and then another line below it curved, right? Just like that, okay? And then on the other circle, inside of it, you're going to draw a circle, and then two small circles, just like that. So these are the eyes, right? We're going to give our little COVID virus some eyes. Now let's work on the mouth. Jump down, and I want you just to basically draw this shape, almost like a smile, right? Looks like it's smiling. Except, let's go a little further. We're going to round this off on the edge here, round it off on the edge on the other side like that, and then come down and back up. Okay, so it's got a pretty big smile, something like that. Let's give our COVID a couple of teeth too. Why not? Put some buck teeth like this. And let's give him two more at the bottom. These are a little closer together, here and here. And then a tongue, so I'm going to draw this shape right behind it. And all of this will be darkened in, so you don't have to worry about it later, right? Okay, now for the body. Notice that earlier when I drew the virus, it was rounded with all these things sticking out, right? Well, ours is a little different, and that's okay. So, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this shape, we're going to come around and round it off like this right here. It's almost like a head popped out of the virus, the little nucleic capsid or whatever it's called, right? So now inside of this, we're going to put half a circle, or the edges of a circle, I should say, and then another circle here, right, for the eye shine. Going around our little coronavirus, we're going to start putting these little tiny protrusions or stems all around. And notice how I'm doing it. I draw two lines and then I draw it kind of round it off, right? Two lines, round it off. Same thing all around. I'm not going to give our little coronavirus here any legs. He or she's going to be legless and armless because we're going to make light of a very serious situation by drawing it as a cartoon. We're not making fun of the virus in any way, or people that may have it or could catch it or any of those things. What we're doing is we're putting things sort of into context here. We're taking the power away from the virus, if you will, by drawing it as a silly cartoon, and it kind of helps us to better understand that, you know, yes, this is a bad time, but we are together as a society very able to manage this and very able to get through it. If you have faith, this is really a good time to exercise that faith that, you know, God will provide, and as a society we'll make it. So now we have our little coronavirus. He looks just as menacing as I thought he might, right? In all of his or her little protrusions sticking out. So I'm going to go back over now and try to erase this without shaking the camera too much, but I want to get rid of a lot of these lines inside of the drawing. So these circles that you drew at the very beginning, they served a purpose, and the purpose was to just get a shape on the page so that you could fill in, right? So if you draw this along with me, please send it in to us. We would love to share your version of the coronavirus as a cartoon. That would be pretty fun. I hope this isn't really morbid drawing this as a cartoon, but this is something I just felt like we should do today. As an editorial cartoonist, I have to draw about serious things. You know, it's not always just different funny gags and stuff. Sometimes terrible things happen, and I have to draw about those. That's extremely hard to do because you don't want to be disrespectful in any way, but you know, how can you use art to talk about serious things? Now, what I did was just pour a little bit of water in a pop bottle lid, nothing fancy, and now I'm going to go and grab my watercolor kit. So I'm going to lay this sort of up here too so you can see sort of how I do it, and you can follow along at home. If you don't have the same colors I have, it's no big deal. You can just come as close as you can to it, and that'll work just fine, okay? Let's put the water over here. The first thing I want to do is get my brush wet, and I'm going to just rub it on the page a little bit to get some of the water out. And I'm going to start out with light colors, so I'm going to use this yellowish color here, and I'm going to go over top of my pencil lines even. I'm not worried about getting on top of the pencil lines, and all I'm doing is getting my brush wet, going over, grabbing some color, coming over here and just slapping it down very loosely. Don't worry too much about, you know, of course you want to try to stay in the lines, but you don't want to cover the entire drawing with this color. You want it just to sort of touch in different areas, just kind of highlight certain areas, right? Now, the differences in color from dark to light is known as a value in art. And so if you use a lot of water in your brush and then you go over here and pull this color out, it's going to be a lighter value of that color. If you use less water in your brush and pull water and the color out, you're going to have a darker value of the same color. So you get these different types of values all across the surface, just like this. Now, when I think of a virus, I think of, I don't know if anyone's seen the Mucinex commercials, but I think of this gross kind of greenish, yellowish, weird shape and grotesque features and stuff. So we're going to make ours yellow and greenish color, just to kind of go along with that same idea. Now this is actually his or her eyelid, so notice how light this bottom part is compared to the top. That's value right there. So we're looking at it happening right in front of you. You can do this too. You follow along with me. You can do everything that I'm doing here, and we'd love to see it. If you really want to take your time and do a very, very, very detailed version of this, that would be amazing. I'd love to see it, and we definitely will share it. I'm just getting more color out. And notice this is fairly simple what we did. All we've done is just drew a couple of circles and then filled in some details. Now I'm going to pull a little bit, and I test out color sometime over to the side. May use a little bit of this brown in some areas just to kind of give a little bit of offset on the yellow. And I'm not going to use this all over. Just put it in different spots. This is more of a reddish brown. So if you use a lot of water, it won't really come out very strong, but if you use less water, you're going to get a lot of color. Just remember that as you go along. So now we have a little bit of brown in there, and I'm going to try some green out. So I'm going to pull some of this green. Notice I'm not even really washing my brush out in between pulling colors. I'm really bad for that. And trust me, when art class, I was always told to wash your brush out correctly. And of course, I never listened. And now I do it now, and it's a bad habit. So if you take your time and wash your brush out, you're not going to have a huge mixture of colors in your palette. But I don't. I like to just grab color and go with it sometimes. So forgive me for that. If any art teachers are watching, I apologize. So now I'm pulling this color, I'm pulling this green, I'm going around all the surfaces. Right now the eye is really important here. We want to use a little bit of color at the bottom and maybe a little bit more at the top. We want to keep the yellow in there too, though. It's important. Now I'm going to pull this blue, I think. Yeah, it's blue. Alright, so for the blue, I want to actually use less water, and I'm going to go in, and instead of black, I'm using blue for the inside of the mouth here. And I'm doing that because as long as it's a dark shade or value of a color, really, really dark, you can get away with not using black. Black is fine. We'll use black, but anytime you can use any other color than black, to put in really dark areas, it's good, just because it breaks up your use of black more, so that later on when we actually go over this and ink it, you'll be able to see how the black stands out. Now for the eye here, very, very, very dark, going around my circles, trying to leave those circles inside there because that's a little bit of a shine on the eye. And now for the other eye, I'm actually going to do something a little different here. I'm going to pull some of this and just do maybe a different color for this eye. Very, very, very dark color for the eye. So there we go. All right, maybe you could go around and do some shadowing here in between these little protrusions sticking out. Leave those a lighter color so that it actually looks like it's sticking off of the surface of the drawing, just like this. And you can keep going like this until you repeat the process now, since we've done it. So you could go back now and actually start over by using this lighter color and going in and really adding super, super, super detailed color to your drawing. You can do this as much as you want it and as many times as long as the paper holds out. If you don't have watercolor paper, then it may start to crumble up on you. The water really takes a toll on the fibers of the paper, right? So we're going to keep on going a little bit more, just adding a little more detail, and there we go. I think we've got a pretty gross looking coronavirus here. Like I said, though, you could keep going as long as you wanted, adding more color to it. Now, what I like to do at this point is I'm going to allow this to dry, and then once this dries, I'm going to go back actually and add a little bit of ink to outline the drawing. So we'll give it just a second and come back and start with our ink. I've given my drawing a little bit of time to dry now, so I'll go ahead and move this watercolor out of the way and get the water off the paper. And what we'll do now is we're going to put a little bit of ink on here to sort of highlight the areas. This is still a little wet, but it shouldn't bleed too bad. We'll see what happens. So I trace over my pencil lines just like this, and what probably would have been a good idea is for us to have erased a lot of these more, but I didn't. So you can, though, at home, you can really put some detail in here. So there we go. We'll go around the mouth here. Of course, these areas took longer to dry because we use more water. And of course the teeth. Now here you can see what I meant by using blue instead of black, because inside of the mouth now really stands out more. And of course I'll trace over all of my lines. And what we have is a cartoon corona. And it's always fun when you're in a situation where you're really stressed out, or maybe you're just uncertain about things, to try to put those feelings into a piece of art. I love it. This is literally all I do, and I really love drawing. Drawing is, to me, just an absolute joy and pleasure, so I'd love to do it. So we'll add a few more details here with the little stems coming out. And as always, no matter what, you want to be sure with everything you draw, put your name on there somewhere so people know. Now if you send something in to us and we post it, be sure and let us know your name. If you want to let us know where you go to school, or maybe even what grade you're in, that's fine too. If you don't want to share all that, that's okay. But please do draw and send it in so we can share it here on our social media sites. Thank you for checking out the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe, remain calm, and just have fun drawing during this time. Thanks so much.